Good morning, my people. What's going on, everybody? What is going on? So today we have a really powerful live stream, really for coaches who are stuck in the learning phase. So here's the thing. If you're somebody who's constantly learning and it doesn't feel like you can attract more of the right clients, it doesn't feel like you can not only get on with your calls with clients and help them change their life, but also keep them around. And maybe you're like trying to grow a business and you're like, I don't know what to do next. I'm learning everything and I get stuck in learning mode. Today's live stream is for you. Cynthia, what's up, my friend? What's going on all the way from the East Coast? Tuning into the West Coast. By the way, Teresa, there's like a weird kind of like like half of you is lit and the other half is like, I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, I got a bunch of shadows.
It's all good. It's all good. You look amazing. You look amazing. So guys, we're going to dive in today into Lean Learning by Pat Flynn. If you've been a part of the book club, which by the way, today is our last call for the book club, and I'll explain to you why this book was pivotal in terms of like figuring that out. But we're going to dive through and really talk about the three strategies that really from this book stood out to me. But also when I think about what helped us from being plateaued at $50,000 a year to being able to unlock that, it had a lot to do with the three things that we're going to be pulling out of this book today. So welcome to Modern Leadership. I am Mark. That is my amazing, incredible wife, also known as Coach, the real boss, Teresa. We help coaches develop the confidence and skills they need to make more impact and make more income so they can do more of what they truly love, which is getting on calls, changing people's lives, and not getting stuck in the vicious cycle of learning. Because learning can make it feel like you're making progress when in reality, you're not really doing anything different. And I know kind of felt like a gut punch for me when I actually heard about this first. But it is one of those things where when you can challenge yourself in the right way, you'll be amazed at how you show up differently. So, Teresa, you ready to dive in?
Let's go.
You're like super talkative today. Like I'm going to have to like mute you or something. All right. So, okay. Now, before we actually dive into these three takeaways, I want to share like things that can cause us to get stuck when we are, whether it's even coaching, whether it's growing your business, whether it's like parenting, whether it's like whatever it is, like police officering. I don't know if that's a word, but back when I was in LAPD, I found that I also got stuck from doing these three things because it's very easy to get trapped in this passive learning cycle. Because when we start learning things, it actually starts to feel productive. It feels productive. You're like, I've learned something new. I put something in here and I figured out like what it is that I can do out in the world, right? But then when we get stuck there, we don't realize it, but it's actually a protection mechanism when we keep learning and we don't take action. It's trying to protect us from this 6-letter word called failure. It's the F word, failure. We don't want to fail. So what do? We keep learning and we keep learning and we keep learning. And I've seen this happen with so many coaches. They're like, I'm going to do this once I launch my course. I'm going to do this once I do this, complete this entire certification. I'm going to do this. And then there's something that happens after, right? It's after I do this next piece of learning. And the truth is like at any point, you could jump in right now. I want you to keep learning and I want you to keep growing. But I remember this like really powerful quote, and I'm gonna probably butcher it, but it's the difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is purely just what you know. Wisdom is acting in alignment with what you know. And it is night and day, my friends. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to figure out how do we continue to learn, but in a way that is focused on what we really need to learn next. And then how do we get out into the world, take action, and learn the most from actually doing it. By the way, have you guys ever seen this? And that is like when you learn something, and this is something I do all the time. And I didn't used to do it all the time because I was nervous about it. Well, when I learn something new, what I like to do is I like to go out and teach it. Because when I go out and teach it, it gives me a deeper understanding, but it also is me taking action, me putting it out into the world, seeing like what's going to come back from it. And by doing that, it actually helps me to like kind of like get it programmed into my brain so I do it more automatically. And so when you think about this, like actually going out and practicing, Aaron's here again. What's up, Aaron? Didn't we just see you a few minutes ago? But when you think about going out there and practicing, that is really how you learn. You don't learn by just reading pages on a book. You read pages on a book, you go out, you take action, you find out what works and what doesn't. because I hate to break it to you, even in lean learning, like you're going to find things that really connect with you and where you're at that are going to work for you. And you're going to learn things that aren't going to work for you ever. And it doesn't matter how much more knowledge you have about that thing. It's just not really something that's going to work for you because of your personality and because of your strengths and your weaknesses, right? So this is really what we want to attack. We want to attack this idea of getting stuck in learning mode because it feels comfortable, like you're making progress. Erin says she can't get enough of us, and we're going to prove her wrong. We are going to prove her wrong, right? Okay, so let's get into these 3 lessons from Learn Leaning. By the way, if you haven't seen this, Pat Flynn, one of our early mentors, he actually, we joined a course of his, Power Up Podcasting. I saw him live. I think it was like at Shalene Johnson's events or something like that. But like this guy is the real deal. Like how he shows up and how he serves people on an entirely different level is powerful. So even if like you're like, oh, this is, I don't even know if I'm going to read this book. Like being able to support like entrepreneurs and people who are growing businesses like that is what I'm all about. And so I love to support it, which is one of the reasons why we picked this book. But then obviously getting into this book, it gave me some huge takeaways from that, right? Because I always don't think about just the book itself. I think about the person behind the book and who I want to support. And he's definitely one of those people. So definitely pick it up if you haven't yet. Okay. Lesson number 1. You guys ready for this? This one is probably the biggest, most important one that that he shared. And he actually has been on a few different podcasts. By the way, he has Smart Passive Income. If you have never listened to that, definitely subscribe. It really, really powerful podcast about growing a business. But he talks about the difference between just-in-time learning versus just-in-case learning. So here's like how this can come up. When you are focused on just-in-case learning, you're just stockpiling information. You're like, well, I don't need to run Facebook ads, but I'd love to know how to do that. So I'm going to listen to this podcast. I'm going to watch this training. I'm going to join this thing. I'm going to be a part of this community because at some point in the future, I might have to use this. That, my friends, is called just-in-case learning. I used to do this all the time. I'm like, well, right now where I'm at, I'm not, doing these high level things, but one day I'm going to be on stage. So I should probably learn how to do that and be on stage right now. And that was completely backwards. All right. I was going to say something, but I forgot we're on YouTube. That is completely backwards from the way that you're actually supposed to lean into this. Instead, we think about like, how can we learn things just in time? Meaning just in the time that we need to fully lean into that thing. Being irregardless of like, or regardless, right? Because irregardless is not a word. Teresa's like the thesaurus police right now. But like, regardless of like what happens on the outside, you can actually go, okay, that is great information, but it's not information that I need to learn right now. What is the information that I need to learn the most? I got to say, like when we work with like our one-on-one clients, we find that people get stuck in this all of the time. They're reading books, listening to podcasts, just getting direction from their mentors, from social media. Hey, this is a good book. Hey, you should pick up Girl Wash Your Face. And it's like, just because everybody else is like reading it, they start to read it and they think that that's the best use of their time. That is a complete waste of your time if you're doing it out of order. I want you to think about 6 years ago when you read a book. Do you remember what it is that you learned? And did you implement that stuff? Like sometimes we were doing that where we realized like, oh my gosh, like I read that book so long ago, I need to read it again because I don't even remember what I learned, because at the time it wasn't necessarily something for you to program into your brain to really utilize. So when we think about like just-in-time learning versus just-in-case, I really want you to challenge yourself here. I want you to think about the books, the podcasts, the YouTube channels, the videos, the workshops. Is it in alignment with what you truly need to do? So one of the things we do with our clients is we ask them really powerful questions about this in terms of like, where do they want to go? What do they want to be able to achieve? And when they think about like where they want to go and where they want to achieve, we ask them, okay, so where are you now? So not using it as a way of shaming or guilting yourself, but where on the map are you? Because if you want Siri to get you to someplace, you need to know 2 places. Number 1, where you want to go. And number 2, where you currently are. And when you know where you currently are, then you're like, okay, what is the one skill? The next skill that if you mastered would have you heading in the direction that you truly want to get to. And if somebody's just getting started and they're like, I need to start like public speaking with Ed Milet. And it's like, well, maybe, but not right now. Like that is not necessarily your focus. Maybe it's communication. Maybe it's learning how to create demand. For a lot of our coaches is really developing the confidence and skills they need. Because once you have the confidence and skills, guys, then when you get on a call, people are going to be like, I know you can be able to help me, and they're going to join you, and they're going to take that next step with you, and you're going to have a business. But if you're like 10 steps ahead, thinking about how to put together a webinar, and you haven't mastered how to actually coach somebody, you're putting things ahead that really need to be in a certain level or a certain alignment, right? So when we're asking these questions with our clients, then we can help them identify what that next step is. So that being said, Teresa, I'd love to get your feedback on this, like related to just in time versus just in case. So like what came up for you?
Mhm. Yeah, and you said it. It's the most important thing because we often learn and try to learn, and convince ourselves that it's intentional, that we're learning something. So that means we're making progress. But that's a myth because it's not just about being intentional about what it is that you're doing. It's also about what you're learning.
Yep.
Because like you said, if you're learning Facebook ads because you think that in the future you're going to need it, sure, that might be the case, but you're probably going to go back when you get to that point. You're probably going to go back and relearn it because you forgot, right? So it's about really understanding where you are and what's the actual knowledge that you need to learn. What are the skills that are going to help you right now,
Yep.
right? So, mhm.
No, I was gonna keep going, preach it.
No, I thought you were gonna. Yeah, so really, it's about. I mean, obviously, like we will go through some of these things, and a lot of these things, like we messed up, right? That's why we're here, because we will learn the lessons. But oftentimes, we will do a lot of busy work, and we will convince ourselves that the busy work is still good work because we're learning something. But in reality, we're just wasting time because a lot of that stuff is just, like just accumulating in our minds,
Yep.
and it doesn't allow us to have clarity. So I love that coaching question about like, what is that thing that you need to learn right now that's going to help you?
Mhm.
Because it really narrows it down to what is your focus.
Mhm.
What is that you need to do so that you can get better at that rather than just like, it's almost like multitasking, right?
Mhm.
Multitasking doesn't work because you can't really focus on a particular thing. But if you narrow it down to what is it that I need to learn that's going to help me right now, that is what is going to help you move forward faster.
Yep. And I think you were going to talk about like buffering. Like sometimes learning
Mhm.
activity is buffering because it's keeping you from doing the hard things that
Yeah.
you need to do in your business,
Yes.
keeping you from doing that
Exactly.
Facebook Live, keeping you from reaching out to that person and telling them you're a coach, inviting
Mhm.
them to work with you, like those kind of things, those hard things that you actually buffer away because you feel like the whole learning process is important, which it is, but actually
Mhm.
prevents you from actually growing a business. And you look
Yes.
up and you go, what's going on? Why am I not
Mhm.
growing a business? Because you're not doing anything that people who grow businesses do, right? And
Mhm.
so being able to lean in that really, really powerful, but also being able to lean into it for you and where you are and have it be not associated to everybody else and what they're saying, right? Be super intentional of like, is this for me? If not, I'll put it on the shelf for later. But if it is, I'm going to consume it, right? So,
Mhm.
so I love that. Now, the second part, the second lesson, and this is really, really important because when you do decide to take action and you do decide to learn, there's a 3-step phase that I really want you to lean into that he teaches in the book. He says, do, reflect, and learn. So most people are like, do, and they don't take the time to reflect and actually learn on it. So when you learn something in a book, like that is the first stage. Now it's like, now that I learned this, what am I going to do with it? You go out into the world. And when you do it, you either find that you did it right or you didn't. But regardless, you always learn from it, right? The number of times that I have messed stuff up has taught me so much more than when I did it right. As long as you reflect, because like growing, like doing things doesn't just equal growth either. It's the reflection part of that process that where you get to pull those things with you forward. That's really where growth really happens. All right. So not just learning, but doing and reflecting. So make sure that you have a way of building in reflection. Like this is why on every single one of our coaching calls. So when we teach inside of our certification, we teach a process to be able to take people through. And during every single one of our coaching calls that we have with any of our clients, I'm going to have one with Cynthia today, is we are sitting down to reflect what is going on, what did you do, what were the results, let's like learn from them and pull it forward, right? Because there isn't a one size fit all of anything. Well, I was teaching inside of the Dad Edge yesterday as well. And it's the same thing where you have to be willing to go out and to try some of the different skills that we teach, because some of them will work for you. Some of them won't. Some of them are based off of like your personality, your wife's personality, like your strengths, your wife's strengths, and making sure that you can like get out there and do it and learn from it and reflect on it. That's where the key is, because guess what? We have like 50 other skills we can teach you if this one doesn't work, but you won't know until you do it and reflect on it and continue to elevate it and get it better. So that's number 2. Teresa, anything on that? Okay, number 3, and this is one that Cynthia's going to scream from the mountaintops, because this is like, it wasn't directly written into this book. So here's the thing, like, I don't know why my brain works like this, but sometimes when I read a book, like I pull things out of it that the person didn't say, but I can see the universal principles of what they're saying and what they're talking about. And I really do want to share that. And this is one of those things. And that is like, when you are in like the learning phase, you have to meet yourself where you're at. Meet yourself where you're at. Now, what this means is like where you are in your journey. If you have a mentor who doesn't understand coaching, and that mentor tells you everything that he's doing or she's doing, that does not mean that that's what you need to do. You have to meet yourself where you're at. If you're just getting started, you have no clients, you probably like doing things where you're like putting together a $10,000 webinar, putting together all of these bells and whistles and all of these lights and streamers and like whatever, like colorful stages, like all of those things are not going to help you with where you're at. So when it comes to learning, it's the same thing. You have to meet yourself where you're at. But I want to really caution you on this too, because it applies to you and your clients too. If what you're doing is mentoring and giving people like all of the things that you're currently doing and they're not at your level yet, then you could be doing them more harm than good. This is why we spend so much time learning how to, what we call staying out of the pool, clean thinking. This is something we're teaching inside of our certification this week. Because if you don't have this, you accidentally start getting people to learn things that are on the entirely different level than you and thinking that they're making progress. And then when they don't take action or they don't get results, they feel like it's not good for them. It feels like, oh man, like I must suck. Like this must not be cut out for me. And it's because we're teaching and training people how to do things at our level when they're at somebody else's level. So not only does this apply to you, where you have to think through like, is this right for my level? Can I put in my time and energy here? And is this thing that's going to be the next step for me? Or is it just something everybody else or my mentor is doing? And it's exciting because it's something that I may do in the future, but I don't need to do right now. And the second phase of this is like making sure that you don't become that type of person for the people that you're mentoring. Right? I think about this like related to like health and fitness, right? So some of you guys know I used to be a Beachbody coach like forever ago. And that's like how I got started in coaching. Before I started to become a life and leadership and a performance coach, that's what I did. And what I remembered is like so many times people would be like crushing like their insanity workouts and their P90X workouts, right? And then somebody brand new, 100 pounds overweight, like could hardly walk upstairs. They're like, yes, you can do P90X, you can do insanity, like just walk in place. You're going to be so awesome at this, right? And what they were doing is they were meeting their clients where they're at, not meeting their clients where their clients were at. And I can't tell you how many people, whether they hurt themselves or they just stopped taking action because they didn't think they were good enough. And the very few people who actually did that and showed up on it and did it consistently, and how they were able to like see some transformation. But I got to tell you how many people got thrown off because of that. It's not just because this is the workout that you're doing that you're so excited about, which is awesome to talk about, but we've got to protect our people, the people that we're leading, from our own influence. Because sometimes we can influence them to think that something is up here that they need to learn and do next, when in reality, they're on step 1 and you're on step Z. And when you realize that that's the case, it helps you become more aware of how you can actually help someone as a coach. So when I say like Cynthia, and she says screaming yes, is because so many people meet their clients where they currently are, not where their clients are. And if you're doing that, stop it. Meet them where they are. And when you start doing that, not only for them, but also for yourself, you will see just how quickly everybody gets results because you're actually like taking the time to slow down and meet them where they're at and figuring out what their next step is, not the next 10. So that is lesson number 3. That one's from me versus it being from Pat Flynn, but I got it because reading this book really connected to me to that. So Teresa, anything with that?
Yeah, I was thinking about like how I made this mistake over and over again, thinking that I needed to think about where I wanted to be. And that is how I was supposed to either consume information or just do things that it didn't really make sense at the moment because I wasn't meeting myself where I was at, as opposed to knowing where I was at and taking those baby steps that would eventually get to where I wanted to be. But it's kind of like I was trying to do it backwards and it wasn't really working.
Yep. I hear you. And you know, as we kind of like as we get to this point, I think I want to do something that I didn't think I was going to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that is because we have a lot of people that we come into contact with that they don't realize it, but they're stuck in this place, right? They don't even know where they are or where they want to be, and they don't know what the next step is to get there, right? And so they're following everybody else's step, and they're not slowing down to actually get on with a coach and say, where am I? What is that next step? And because we've been able to do this, because we've both been able to build a coaching business where we both get to work full time from home and now get to do this like for our lives, I feel like us being able to be those steps ahead helps to be able to bridge the gap to figure out what those next steps are. So here's what I like to do. For people who are on here, who are interested in figuring out what those steps are, I want to jump on either with me or Teresa. We will jump on a call with you to help you identify where you are and what your next steps are. Now, here's the thing. When it comes to like your next steps, it may be that we'll invite you into one of our programs or working with us, something like that. But it could be that it's not. This is not a good step. I mean, I got to tell you, like most of the people that we get on with, this is not the right step. But being able to know what that next step is and what is actually keeping you back, like and making you feel like you're stuck, it's gonna relieve you once you understand that, because then you know what your next step is, right? So I'd like to offer some free calls for people who are looking to identify where they are and where their next step is. So if you go to modernleadership.us/apply, there's going to be an application there. Once you fill out the application, so we know you're a real person and you're not a bot, then we're going to send you a link to either get on mine or Teresa's schedule. And by the way, if you want to, on that link, you can put, if you want to request one of us, you can definitely put it in the application. But we'll send you our link to jump on a call, and we will give you a free call to be able to help you identify where you are. Okay, guys. Now, here's the thing. I know a lot of you guys have been a part of our book club before, all right? You've been a part of our book club, and we have 4,000 people that are inside of our app. One of the huge things that came up for us while we were reading this book is just this idea of we are actually perpetuating the continuing learning cycle in the group. I mean, it was kind of like a punch to my stomach of like, literally what he's teaching is what we're doing. Is we're like, hey guys, let's pick a book that everybody can read and have a conversation about it. And what I got to say is like, when people lean in, and whether they do the coach accelerator, they do one-on-ones, and they get like the extra support that they need and figure out where they are and what that next step is, game changing. Like, people have found clients when they've never found them before. They've been asked to speak on stage, like all of these different things, but not from randomly picking up 100 different books and just reading them and thinking that you're actually making progress. It comes from taking action, but also learning the next thing that you need to learn. And so like looking at that, I'm like, we're perpetuating this. We are not going to do that anymore. So here's the thing. Moving forward, we are still going to be having the community, all right? And by the way, if you go to modernleadership.us/club, CLUB, modernleadership.us/club, you can actually join and be a part of the community. But we are not going to be going in there just to read books. We are going to be teaching different things, like elevating skills, talking about some of the different things that we do inside of our certification, in case that's something that you want to do, but making sure that people are taking action, not just consuming in the app. So if that's something you're interested in, 100% jump in. If you just want to be a fly on the wall, this is not the community for you. Go out, find a different one, because we want to make sure that we are not only helping coaches to learn what they need to learn, but helping them take the next steps so they can create not only the life and the income that they want, but also make the impact that they truly want. And that's what we're going to be doing inside of the app. So if you're in there, still continue to be in there, check in. We're still going to have like content that we're going to be teaching. We're still going to have YouTube lives to be able to help you with developing the confidence and skills you need. And of course, we're going to have the coach accelerator, one-on-one success pods, any way that we can do to help you guys. We're still going to have those as available. but we won't be reading a book every single month just to get a check mark in like reading a book. No, we have to be focused on what we all individually need to learn and grow through. So that's what I got. Teresa, anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. You always have to hit the unmute button, huh? It's all good. It's all good. All right, guys. I appreciate you for leaning in. Thank you for reading another powerful book. Thank you for being a part of our community. It has been amazing to be able to read these books with you, but now it's time to get into action. Now it's time to really build a business, make the impact that we're here to make. And if that's something you're willing to do, we'd love to see you inside and continue to be a part of the app. If not, no worries at all. Just make sure that you're not just reading, you're learning, you're implementing, and then you're reflecting. And then from there, keep like focusing on that next thing that you need to learn. So thank you guys for what you do every single day. And we'll see you guys real soon. And Cynthia, I'll see you in about 3 or 4 hours, friend. All right. Bye, everybody.